Hello everybody, it's Crazy Logics 007 on YouTube, Crazy Logics in the forum, and everybody else just calls me Damon. Don't mind that little growl, that's my power supply, I don't know why it's doing that. Yes, I know the amplifier is upside down. I've been testing, make sure everything works on it. Let's go on ahead and play a little music. I'll unpause it. And so this is a Rockford Fosgate Power 400.4. We can take the end. I just got the end caps setting on here. I've got it hooked up here. One of the nice things about a lot of these Rockford amps is, you're playing music and you need a little more oomph. And how can you get more oomph from your bass? But a bass knob, that's right. One of the kind of pain in the butt, hard to get little oval bass knobs. And so if you plug it in, we'll change to a test tone. You can hear that. Your bass knob can increase and decrease the level of the bass. Pretty cool. And so these bass knobs are hard to get. Everybody's trying to get them, and they're not actually the greatest thing in the world. They're a plastic case. They just got a little stuff like that. Rockford designed these, kind of cool. Let's go ahead and shut off the amp so that we don't have any other problems. They made a little mount here. You could have this big bass knob, but you could also take this apart. I've got the screws out of the back of this one right now, and do some stuff. So if we were to look, he was to remove the back and the knob, you can slide the board out, and technically you could drill you a hole somewhere nice and incognito and mount this up and put the knob back on and use it. And some of their other bass knobs do a better job of this. They came with extra front plates. I'm not sure if these came with a little extra front plate to put it on there or a little dial indication, but these being so hard to get, you know me, I've got to find some parts, make some stuff, and see about making it to where more people can enjoy a bass knob without having to get a hold of these, because I think a lot of them have been lost over time. So let me clean up a mess and get a little something going here, and we'll head into the bass knobs. All right, so we got the Rockford bass knob here, and it's just a potentiometer and an RCA jack. Not RCA, sorry, an RJ11 jack. And so, technically, you could buy some perf board, cut it out, buy some jacks, let's see, buy some potentiometers. I want to get a look at that part number there, You could cut that all out, drill a hole, kind of line it all up. Well, if I can get it to line up, I'm going to need my glasses. it's your guys' job to remind me to get my glasses out at the beginning of the video. So, you know, stop slacking and get me my glasses, or yell at me to get my glasses on. Say, hey, Goober, get your glasses on. So, put that on there like that. And this on here maybe like that. And bam. Looking pretty close. We just need a little circuit diagram to know how to solder all these up. So that then we can take this, slide it in there, and have a replacement bass knob that works. So if you've got the housing, you could build you one of these. Or we could just get rid of all that, solder up to this, make this all nice and disguised. Use a little of the mounting hardware they come with, some washers and lock nuts, because this is threaded. Hide this little shrink wrap and hide this sucker anywhere and put a knob on it, and then you'd be good to go. You wouldn't even have to put a jack on it. You could just take your wire, snip it off, strip it, and solder it on, as long as we knew how to wire it up. Well, let's draw it. We can see the wiring diagram. It's right on the circuit board. So let's talk about a potentiometer. We're going to look at it from the underside here. So this is the bottom side, so we can see it from the bottom, because we're going to look at the bottom of this circuit. So we got our potentiometer, and it is got 6 pins. So we're going to put a pin out here on the side, 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 and one in the middle, and one in the middle. So that represents those 6 pins. So coming in, there is a resistor in each one of these that goes across here. And this center pin is attached to this shaft. And that resistor is actually curved around in here. So this pin can sweep anywhere along here. So to signify that, they put a little arrow. This is not the exact drawing for a potentiometer, but technically that thing can sweep from any ways, and these two are coupled. And so when it swings, they both swing, they both swing. So we got that. If you were to look at the side here, at the potentiometer, it says it's 15C 500K ohms times 2. Well, the times 2 means it's dual sweep. You know, we've got 2 elements here. 100 or 500K. It's a type C, which means it's a reverse analog or reverse musical. So, you know, you can get that crazy little part number I showed you earlier. I've got another one here that's slightly different that I picked up. That one would work. So we got that. And then we got this 6-pin RJ11, and I think they actually call that maybe an RJ14 or an RJ12 or whatever when it's got all 6 pins in it, and they call it an RJ11 when it's only 6. But if you look here, you're going to notice, let's see, I could probably just do this. I've got my fancy new camera, all this stuff, but it makes it shake because I don't have a good support for it yet. So I'm really lax to do a lot of this. But if you notice, this outer pin and this outer pin, I don't like pointing with a marker, have no connection. They're just through hole and soldered in. It's actually only the 4 middle pins here that are used. And so to make that bass knob, this is the wire I just used making it work, you only need a 4 conductor. Now, it does need to be 6 position. So this one, notice it has the 4 conductors in the middle, but there's no conductor on each side. That means this is the 6 position style, which is an RJ11 style. I think, I'm not an expert on telecommunications. RJ45 is the bigger 8-pin setup that you are familiar with on Ethernet cables and stuff like that. So the RJ11, I believe, is the 6-pin space with 4 pins used, and then I think they call it something else, RJ12 or 15 or 14 or something, when you use the this plug with all 6 used. But on this board, the outer 2 from this connector, not used. They're just soldered in. So if we was to draw these pins, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and say they go here, 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 and here on the board, there is no connection and no connection. And so I don't even know which way they are numbered. It might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't care. Oh, you guys can't see a single thing I did. Don't care. So here's our 6 pins. No connection. No connection. You know, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I don't care which way it goes. We're just going to look at this. We're going to see pin number 1, no connection. So we're going to go to this next one, and it goes right to there. And then the next pin is connected with this pin, and it goes, make sure I'm looking at this right. I don't want to draw this wrong and everybody yell at me when it don't work. Yeah, okay. It goes up here to this one, and it joins that one, and it joins this one and this one. They're all together. So these 2 pins hook all these together. And then this little pin comes up, goes around, and hooks into there. And bam, that's it. So basically what they're doing is they're probably providing some low voltage, and I can guarantee this because I've seen the schematics, comes up into this resistor. So it gives a base resistance through here, which gives 2 different feedbacks. And when you move the potentiometer and change the voltage that it's feeding in, that affects the base for the left and right channel. So one of these is going to be left, one's going to be right, doesn't matter. And bam, there you have it. So you don't need wire in those spots. So by the time this video comes out, hopefully I'll have the correct stuff. Where did I put it? There it is. I have ordered a whole bunch of different samples. I got 6-pin versions, I got 4-pin versions and stuff. I can put up part numbers for these, but I did finally find one that exactly matches the Rockford, which then actually fits in their hole. I'll try to get the part number on this now that I had something to take dimensions from, see how it's actually different than the Rockford a little bit, but it is correct, same dimensional. I'll also make a little drawing or something of this circuit board, but there it is. That's the schematic, and technically all you need is this. Cut this end off, strip these wires back, and put it on. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hook up one of these as a test bass knob. Oh, and then, you know, you can get you your own little decals to put on there. Those are easy to make. And then all different kinds of knobs you can buy. You do need to pay some attention. These knobs that I had laying around, these potentiometers, this part number, the PTD 902, was a smooth shaft. These knobs actually are for the knurled shaft style here. They press onto the knurl. That's what they're expecting. What else do I have in parts? This one was interesting. It was a different part number. It's got the flat D. I kind of like that because there's a lot of these knobs you can get out there that got that little flat, and they got a set screw. So when you put it on, you can then tighten up the set screw and make sure it's on. I liked this one for the idea of making a remote-based knob that ends up just with that wire soldered up correctly and some shrink wrap, and so it's really incognito, really small. You put one of these tiny little holes in your dash, you put a nut on it, and you put your own little knob, and now it's all blended in with your factory look instead of having this big bulky thing sticking out. So like I said, I'm going to cut some of this wire off, wire up one of these as a test thing. We'll hook all the amp back up and do that. And like I said, I will have some drawings I will make up that say how big the board is, and maybe even do an official non-chicken scratch wiring diagram for it. If I get the part number for this, I'll just try to make a little bill of materials and put it down in the description. Like I said, I already showed you these, but I'll try to get that in there if I don't throw it in the end of the video. So clean this away a little bit, and let's make one little knob and then test it to prove it. Okay, so got a few things going here. So in this setup, since we're from the bottom, we got the jack would plug in here. We're going to look, and we got the yellow wire first on this specific cable. You need to look at your cable. So we got a yellow, we got green, red, black. So it does matter that we're looking from the bottom because it's a reverse log. So we're going to this pin right here on this one, and this one will be these two over here, and then these are all going to join together. So we're going to give them a little tweak out towards the side to keep them away from the other pins, and we'll join them all up. And then I've prepped one of these. I've just stuck the plug on there and done that, and got a little E6000 drying. And then I'll show you how I'm going to do this with a little perf board. We're just going to run a couple little jumper wires. The neat thing about this one that doesn't have any through hole vias or nothing is that if you don't need that pad there, if you need it out of your way, you can actually just get your razor knife up underneath these and flick these off. They're just little solder points that are kind of glued on there, and you can flick them off. You can see I've scraped some of them off on the side here. So then we'll just run we'll run a wire to the middle of this blob to these two middle pins. We'll run a wire around here to that one, and a wire over there to that one. So let's get set up with the soldering iron and stuff, and we'll solder a couple of them up. So I went ahead and tinned the end of my wires and tinned up that, and so we say black goes down here. So by tinning up my wires, hopefully that'll make this easy to capture on camera. I'm just going to go ahead and heat up that leg. Whoa. Heat up that leg. That on there. And then we said yellow's going to go up here to this other one. So we can bend it back down a little. And get yellow to live happy on that one. And then red and green are going to go together. Kind of give them a twist. And they're going to go with these. We're going to make a big old happy mess right there. Get some extra solder in here. You know what? It'd help. We had a little something. There it is. Grab one of my helping hands here. Hold this. So it's a little less floppity maybe. And then get her back into the camera shot. We're just going to add solder over here and get these all to flow together. I think we've got it. Sure looks like it. Now we can take a little tape, slip in there, wrap around, a little piece of shrink wrap when we're done. We got some nice little knob to mount somewhere. Oh, here's a different style knob. That's that D style I said. Like I said, I got knobs laying around everywhere. That'll go right on there, maybe. Might be tight. Yeah, there we go. And then bam. We're going to have us a nice little bass knob that we could hide anywhere. And they make, don't ask me for part numbers on knobs. Pick the knob you want. They make little bitty ones like these. They make metal ones, gold ones, just whatever fits the decor of your vehicle. You can get real plain plastic ones and paint it, you know, make it look good in your setup. So we got that one done. Now we're going to have to head, I'm going to have to let this dry just a little more before we can do this one, but we'll get to that one next. Okay, I do have a couple pieces of small electrical tape here. We can just stick in here somehow, some way. May have to shorten them up a little bit. We've got them a little wide, but we'll see if it'll slip in there. Oh, looky there. It did. So we can go ahead and fold that over a little. It's good enough to secure that one. Go ahead and poke it through. And then we just need to secure the other one. We might have to do a little cutting. And if I can find a razor knife, there we go. Let me trim this a little narrower. Alright, we made that a little narrower. I'm just going to poke it through. I need to go narrower still. Alright. Just trying to get that in. There we go. Once you get it through, we're just going to protect just a little bit with a little electrical tape. Now we're looking pretty good. Get out a box of some heat shrink. I can't put a heat shrink over the top of that. If I got something that'll shrink that far down. I might have a little bit here. I might make it over that. Oh boy, that's gonna be tight. That's a tight fit on that electrical, on that stuff. Do I have slightly bigger? Maybe this black is a little more flexible. Yeah, I think I can make that work. Okay, so we just want a chunk about yay big. Alright. Let's see if we can make this work. We just want to kind of get our electrical tape not to move. Now you could go back and use E6000. Heck, you could even use hot glue. We're just wanting this connection right here to get a little shrinkage. Keep those wires from touching. There's all kinds of different ways. I'm just doing this with what I got right here on hand. Using my hot air rework to shrink this down some. In this instance, it doesn't need to be perfect. We could even get the electrical tape back out a little more. Cut off a little chunk. And attach it right down here where the bottom of the heat shrink and the other wire meet to keep us from sliding around. And that's all we care about. We've now made a base knob that we can mount in a little bitty hole. You know, if this wire was super long, let me back up on camera. So if we made this wire super long, this one's for my test bench, so I only need it to do a little bit, but shazam. There we go. And we'll test that on the amp here in a little bit. Once this other one dries, and we redo it. And the purpose of doing this one is if you had one of these original base knobs and maybe this has been busted, that happens a lot. These get busted to show that you can rebuild this gut, and it'll slide right into here, and you can redo your original. So as that's dry, I'll get back to that. All right, so what we've got, sorry, there's kind of a gap in time between last video shot and this one. I've got summer and everything got hot, and I've got a cool day to record here. So, you know, built a little test bench one. Getting ready to wire this one up. We've kind of got our little wiring diagram. And I also built a stealth one here, really nice. All heat shrink up for a nice stealth install. With plenty of cable to go all the way back to subs and to the amp in the back. So that's all just being built like that. You don't have to have them this way, but you know, these are nice and everybody likes them. So something I want to mention is a good buddy of mine, Tom Goldbranson, has designed, you can see some pictures here, the case, and he's even done it, he's even updated it a bit to have a nice Rockford Fosgate logo on it. Done that all up. It's even got the place for the bracket. Here's the 3D view of it all spun around. Really nice. It'll hold the board, or you don't even have to put a board in it. You could just put the stealth version I've got there. And here he's printed out his own little thing and done it in white. Looks absolutely breathtaking in white. And this was his first experiment on one. He kind of refined it, so he did that and stuff. So absolutely fantastic. He's going to put his info down in the comments, so that if you want to get a hold of him because you need some replacements to fix yours up, you can. And like I said, you can use the parts that we've laid out here for you to build up your own bass knob or fix the one you got or whatever you need to do. So that's going to be cool. I'm going to go ahead and remember I told you you could flick these off here. If I get my glasses first of all. I've got 3 pairs sitting here somewhere. I put them all together. Oh, there's a pair. So remember I said you could flick these off. If you do it just right. I may have to get my bigger knife. I'm going to cut towards your chum, not your thumb, kind of thing. But I'm going to clean a few of those up. I may have to get my bigger knife and a little more stiffness, but I want some of these removed before I wire all this up. Specifically, over here in our little diagram of how we need to hook it up, those 4 need to be all together, and then they just go to the 2 center pins. And then I want to clean up enough so I can easily run this loop and that loop. Remember, no connection here and here on the jack. So when you come back, I'll have those kind of knocked off there. It may be easier with a screwdriver. The ones on the side were really easy to do because I'd been cut through them. But like I said, they fit in the case. You can build a replacement board with just a perf board and the parts, and it's going to be fine. But I'll get that done. I'll get the things knocked off. We'll show wiring it up real quick. May just do some high-speed edit filming here, and then we'll get the amp over here, the amp back in, and we'll test this, and this, and then we'll be done. Okay, well, not the prettiest job in the world, but it still should fit in here. First time I've ever soldered one up on a board. I didn't pre-do any of this. It slides into the board just fine. I just did that. Okay, it showed. Jumpered all that together. Realized I didn't need to knock all those pads off because I could loop around here and then loop straight through here, and so none of those connections were going to be touching each other as long as I looped around. It just takes a minute to look at it, kind of figure it out, apply a little logic. Let's see if we can back up here a little. All right. So we should be ready to test this one. I've got a brand new cable here to use for it. And what you've seen me putting on some of those places was flux. I do need to clean the bottom of the board a little isopropyl alcohol. This is a no clean flux that I use. But like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. These bass knobs are not passing a signal per se. They are setting one of the. They're changing the gain of one of the opt amps inside the amp to boost it. And so these are bass boost. Different knobs from different manufacturers do different things. My favorite knobs are the ones that actually defeat the gain and turn the whole thing up, so that's not just boosting like 45 hertz. I like those the best just because I like to set my bass actually kind of low, and I like to be able to turn it completely off if I'm listening to like a sports broadcast, because the announcer's voice don't need my subwoofers booming to listen to the ball game. But yet I like to be able to turn it up, and then certain songs, need a little extra help, and they could use a little extra bass. So on your sub amp only, you can crank it up just a little bit. So that's kind of nice. I'm going to clean everything up out of the way and get that amp hooked up, and then we will test all these real quick. And I'll get out of your hair. Of course, we're going to do more knobs. I've got more knobs to do. There's a whole bunch of different brands of knobs. So we'll talk about that in a minute. All right. Got the Rockford here. Got it hooked up temporarily. On the 4-channel power series here, the bass boost only works on the rear channels. So we've got a sub hooked up there, and we'll fire the amp up here. And that shows it's playing. We'll put it to low pass. So we can crank it up a little here. You guys should be able to hear that. Here's the original factory knob. Let's see if it gets on some good beats here. Really goes up. There we go. Wow, factory knob works perfect. Let's try our homemade one. Get some beats from the music. I can always do this on a frequency, but we can actually crank it up here a little. It's going to have to wait a second. And there we go. That one's working. Now these are kind of a pain to get out of some of these amps. You got to take a little bitty thin screwdriver to undo the clip, press it down. So we got my long stealth one, which is the one I'll end up using probably in an install when I do an old school install one of these days. You can hear the difference there. That's a beauty and a bonny. And then this other one I made for my test bench because I wanted a bass knob to, whenever I fix all these amps that use these, you hear that get louder. Sweet, it all works. So I wanted one to make sure that there wasn't a problem with the circuit when I fix these, just because I like to test everything. I'll get that in a minute. You know, I go through and test all the channels, even if they were working. I test all the switches, clean them, and all that stuff, because these amps are old and they need it. So I wanted a little test bench one so that excuse me, I've got the burps. I wanted a little test bench one so that I could make sure that all the circuitry was working perfectly whenever I fix these up. So I'll probably tape that up a little more and call it good. But yeah, that's the first bass knob that I'm going to cover. I'm going to do other kinds of knobs besides that. I'd like to do all the Rockford knobs. We'll make a drawing like this of all of them, and I'll try to maybe throw a little better schematic the next time. But probably what I'll do is I'll just go through every knob that I get, which is a bass knob, that I know what brand, and I'll try to draw it out and help everybody out with the parts. Then I got some audio control, like the epicenter knobs and the center channel knob from audio control and stuff that I can reverse engineer, and we can draw it out, because none of these things are made again, are still made. You know, these are way old school, and so it's really handy. And then I'll probably do a universal bass knob, how to build one with a big pot that you can put into, you know, make your own bass knob, put it in a box, or make one of those little figures, you know, hide it in the body and make the head the bass knob or something like that for competition style. I've got the wire and the end connectors and the actual pots and everything to make your RCA style one. So slow but sure, I'll get these kicked out. And like I said, Tom should post in the comments about if you need a replacement housing. I think he can do it in more than one color. His first attempt was white and it was absolutely stunning. And then you can build your own board, or just build your own small version. You can build a stealth version if if your car doesn't have a place that's good to mount something like this. You can still do a stealth version. Most guys like the look of these knobs, though. They are pretty cool. So, like I said, we will do a bunch of different knobs. I'll just do them as best I can, and when I get them out, as they come to me, I've got like five different ones here, so I've got plenty to start with. But we will get them covered eventually too, and that way you can keep on rocking. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.